and good to have you with us on this edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, there is a lot of controversy, outrage, debate over the rising fuel prices in our country. For the 10th straight day, fuel prices have inched up further. In many parts of the country now, from Rajasthan to Madhya Pradesh at specific locations at the petrol pumps, the indicator now stands at 100 per litre of petrol. In other cities like Mumbai, we are inching closer to that 100 mark, and this is largely the reality across the country. For the 10th straight day, the prices have gone up. And the common man is now beginning to wonder for how long will this continue, not just the petrol prices, but even the LPG prices. Now, we are going to take the debate that usually happens around fuel prices a step further. So yes, while we will continue to ask questions not just to the centre but also to the states about the taxes that are imposed on petrol and diesel, the exorbitantly high taxes the centre and each of the state government puts on fuel for us. And we're going to ask them again, why not reduce this so that at least the Aam Aadmi gets some relief? But beyond that, today we also talk about the larger plan. For how long will we continue to be dependent in such a large scale on import of oil? India's energy demands, viewers, are exponentially rising, which is understandable considering the kind of development and growth that we intend to achieve. But as our energy demands exponentially rise, we have to figure where we're getting it from. And adding a twist to this debate was none other than Prime Minister Modi himself. Prime Minister Modi yesterday spoke about oil imports. And he said that we are importing currently 85% of our overall needs. We imported 53% of overall gas needs as well to meet the domestic demand in 2019-2020. He went on to say that I don't want to criticize anyone, but if we had focused on this earlier, middle class would not have been burdened. Now, I am going to talk about what the government's steps have been to boost domestic production, to reduce our dependence on oil, but we're also going to look at some statistics and see if it's actually helped us or we need to do a lot more. Tonight, we're going to talk about what are possibly the larger solutions to India's growing energy needs, effectively that will boil down to someday at a lower price for us as well. Listen in to an excerpt of that comment made by the Prime Minister yesterday.
In 2019-2020, India imported over 85% of oil and 53% of gas to meet the domestic demand. Can a diverse and talented nation like ours be so energy dependent? I do not want to criticize anyone, but I want to say, had we focused on these subjects much earlier, our middle class would not be burdened.
That's what the Prime Minister said, and it's opened up the debate about whether the UPA government did enough to reduce our dependence on imports and to come up with policies that would boost our own production, make us more self-reliant, whether the current government has actually done enough, keeping in mind the rising demand. Because if you look at the import data, crude oil import data, and if you compare what happened during the UPA's era and what we're seeing now, obviously we're also importing a lot more now. But this direct comparison perhaps is also not fair because our economy is growing and we need a lot more than what we did perhaps 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So let's open this up for debate. And not only will we ask the political parties, especially the Congress and the BJP, but we will also bring in experts to help us understand what should we be doing at this point? I say good evening to Mr. R.S. Pandey, former Royal Secretary, who's joining us right now. Mr. R.S. Sharma, former CMD of ONGC, with us this evening. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, national spokesperson for the BJP. Anand Madhav, spokesperson for the Congress Party, and Reena Gupta of the Aam Aadmi Party will also be joining us. We also want to know from politicians, why is it that the states can't help us if the centre itself is stressed for cash? But first up, I want to go across to Mr. Pandey and ask him this question. Mr. Pandey, if we talk about steps being taken by the government to reduce our oil dependence, how far along have we come in the last few years? What can be done now?
Every country has its own history. Countries like India and China, which are growing the fastest in the world, and given their oil reserves and their preparedness to extract oil, India has imported and will continue to import oil and gas for a very, very long time. Well, we should do many things to reduce our dependence. We have been doing also quite a lot, but then the economics and the situation, global situation and our situation is such that our import requirements are growing, and Prime Minister is absolutely right. Today we are importing 84-85% of our oil and over 50% of our gas. The point today is that today 100 liters, 100 rupees per liter is the price of petrol and diesel. Now, we have to alleviate the sufferings of the common man, and for that, the taxation structure is something which we ought to have a look at. India is amongst countries where petrol and diesel are today selling at a very, very high price. This is a very big burden on the consumers, and the government must step in to ensure that this does not happen. There was a time in 2008, I happened to be Petroleum Secretary at that point of time, and then the crude oil had reached a level of $147 per barrel. Even in 2011, 2012 subsequently, the prices were very high. Today, the prices are not that high. It is at the level of around 64. Yet, why is it that the prices are so high? Our taxation structure and our dependence on oil for even our expenditure is something which ought to be looked at.
Okay,
so I think,
Mr. Pandey, I'm going to come to you in just a bit because you've made two very valid points, and I want to take those points across to Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, let's start with the first part about reducing our dependency on importing oil. There is no denying the fact that for many, many years to come, our needs will only grow. And no matter how many alternative sources we find, this will still be a big chunk. Now, how do we find out whether the steps that your government has taken has actually worked in reducing our dependency? The target was to reduce dependency by 10%. To what extent have we achieved that?
Tanviji, I would like to just mention what the Prime Minister said, and what you played here is an important part, that our strategy to deal with this petrol price hike and our requirement on petrol is to go to alternative and renewable source of energy, whether it is the solar energy or wind energy and other form of nuclear energy. All those, the government, even on the electricity vehicle policy on the electric vehicle also, government is pushing lot of efforts in that. So ultimately, in the long term, India, this is the only way through which our energy needs and cost will be reduced, because 85% of our total import requirement for petroleum, etc., is being imported, and almost 70% of our total imports bill is by petroleum products. So therefore, this is important area where the government want to reduce. Even Nitin Gadkari ji has been telling that we need to go into efficient electric vehicle. In addition, and using organic fuels like ethanol and other things, hydrocarbons, etc. The government is working on them. Even small hydro projects is where we are working. Even 2 days back, we had a big report that from Bhutan, we are importing a lot of electricity by building this hydro project there. Similarly, our effort is that we improve our relations with Nepal and buy out the power from there and set up hydropower projects. It will strengthen our bilateral relations. In addition to that, we also need a lot of reforms in the discom companies. The distribution, there is a big loss in the overall loss of in the distribution, and the theft at the electricity consumption is also an area where the government wants to strengthen the whole transmission network across the building the efficient grid, etc. I was in a power company, Northeast Electric Power Company. Lot of efforts on the building and strengthening grid, etc. is also taking place. So this is the only way we want to move it up. What I want to tell here is there are 2-3 issues which we all should consider. One, you have pointed out about the states having lot of component in these taxes.
No, so Mr. Gopal Agarwal, if I may just come in, we're going to break this debate into 2 parts. We will come to the state's taxation structure in just a bit. Let's talk about the most recent and the new angle which the Prime Minister himself has brought to, for public discourse here. But I am looking at data, Mr. Gopal Agarwal, of the indigenous crude oil production of companies including ONGC, oil year after year, the JVC and the private ones, total crude oil production, and I don't see a rise that's happened since your government has come into power. So, is there some data that I am missing? What is it that we should be looking at to judge what your government has done so far?
No, Prime Minister has said, and what our roadmap is, we want to reduce our dependency on this fossil fuel.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if we are dependent on this, and as I said, that we are the 3rd largest importer of crude oil, and lot of our foreign exchange is just going out because we have a negative balance of payment. That's also a concern, and that is main reason is that we have to import lot of energy, crude oil, Brent crude oil. So ultimately, in the long term, we need to move to a renewable energy which is more environmental friendly. We have to shift our from the crude oil, and we have large reserves of coal blocks. That also the government wants to take. If we have to depend on fossil fuel, let us go for thermal fuel. But ultimately, that is also not good for the environment. So government in last 5-6 years had discouraged all this coal thermal power plants.
Correct.
And slowly we are trying to build small hydropower projects.
Okay.
Small ones.
Okay.
Because large are also not environmental friendly.
Okay. Some of the steps that I read up on while I was doing, some research on this about what policies have been brought in. There are policies, the hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy, which is HELP, which replaced the earlier one, which is called NELP. Then there is a discovered small field policy that's been brought in. Effectively, there are also now a policy for changes, relaxations, clarifications, basically to make the process simpler and easier under your PSCs. So these are some of the steps that the current government has taken in the last few years. But Mr. R.S. Sharma, to your mind, why is it that our own domestic sector is not able to boost the production?
That's a very, very valid question. First of all, I want to greet Mr. R.S. Pandey. When I was chairman on ONGC, Mr. Pandey was the petroleum secretary. Good evening, sir. And nice to be talking here in your presence. Whatever Mr. Pandey has said, definitely I would like to endorse, but I would only like to supplement few issues which I feel is relevant for this purpose. India is domiciled to 18% of global population. And please mark it, our known hydrocarbon reserves are less than 2% of the global reserves. These are the facts. It's not that I am saying these are the best of the global experts. They have also done their assessment. That is the one aspect of it. It's not only that India is the only importing country. China imports 50% of their requirements. Japan, Korea, they import almost the entire their needs. Many countries in the Europe, developed nations, they also import. So importing per se is not a taboo. So we must realize these are the ground realities. So I know in the current regime or earlier also, lot of initiatives were taken. I'll not go into politics. That time also we used to keep discussing. Mr. Pandey will recall that what we can do to reduce import dependence. But the fact is, ground realities we cannot overlook. So now also, whatever reforms have been done in the current regime, also personally I feel they are not good enough. Now I am saying, without going to politics, the professional, I feel the countries like Norway, who are exporting their crude oil, there, if the exploration expenditure is unsuccessful, 60% of that gets refunded for this unsuccessful exploration. Number one. Secondly, exploration per se is not a revenue generating activity. Why do we keep collecting service tax earlier and GST now on this? I have been lobbying strongly even after I have, superannuated from ONGC for 8 years. I was chairman FICCI Hydrocarbon Committee, and I have been pleading year after year, please exempt exploration activity from levy of service tax and GST now. That will change the sentiments for the global investors to come and invest here. And we must realize this is perhaps the most expensive activity. Exploration is highly capital intensive.
Yes.
After sinking millions and billions of dollars, and if there's no reserves found, then investor should be given a comfort that he will not be unduly taxed. Some of his infructuous expenditure will be refunded back. There will be no levy of taxes on that. This is one thing that has not been done either in earlier regime or in the current regime. Second, our regulator, Director General of Hydrocarbon, continues to be extended arm of the government. I keep interacting with global investors. They don't have enough trust and confidence in our regulatory system because every time, it's some additional secretary gets appointed there as a extra charge. Once his term comes, he becomes secretary, somebody else gets posted. Please, I am not casting any aspersions on the individuals. I have seen some very, very competent the persons holding that charge portfolio, but there's no commitment there because they know their career lies elsewhere.
Correct.
So these are the kind of initiatives that need to be taken to generate enough trust and confidence amongst the global investors community and invite them to invest here. Ask them what do they need, rather than start hounding them from the land clearance from the drilling activity. Many of the companies in the NELP also having got the blocks, they could not start the activities. Naval clearance is not there. Environment clearance is not there. Please, this is not done. This is not the global investor community will accept. Please let the current day bosses get the message. And same was story earlier also. I'm sure Mr. Pandey will endorse that as well. But being continue to be, in this industry, even now very active. I have just written a book on this task force headed report on the roadmap for gas-based economy. That is another, objective given by the Honorable Prime Minister to the industry.
Yes.
How that can be done. Again, there are a lot of things I am not going because we'll go astray from the main subject of discussions. But in substance, not enough is being done.
Mr. Sharma, when we were internally discussing this topic earlier in the day to decide how we want to treat it, we also ended up realizing the same, that there are so many angles and it's such a vast issue with so many nuances that it gets tricky to know where to stop. But which is why we decided that let's just focus first on the part that Prime Minister has raised right now. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, do you want to respond to this? That a lot more has to be done to make it simpler, to make exploration even viable and cost effective for companies to do. Otherwise, how will we boost our own production?
Definitely, I agree with Mr. R.S. Sharma and Mr. Pandey that lot has to be done. Government is currently trying. We need to even increase our storage. Earlier during the COVID, there was the prices of international crude had fallen so long that it was there a reverse charge on the this import. So that time also we did not have strong or large storage capacity. If we had, we could have stored. That is one thing. Second is, I think the most important part in the energy conservation is our complete distribution and transmission system is highly inefficient and lot of leakages, and it is very old. That has to be improved. That is also an important part. And my own thinking that when the government is that our dependence has to move from oil then to alternative source. We have a lot of solar power available. We also have wind power. We have even can develop into nuclear power, but ultimately solar power is one area where lot many things can be dependent, and
Okay.
our all the fuel consumptions. One also point I would like to mention here is about, if you are talking state at a later stage, I'll
Yes,
discuss
so
that
let's
point
move to
then.
that. Let's move to that because the second aspect, of course, is the current taxation structure, with Mr. Pandey also addressed and alluded to that needs to be fixed. So let's talk about that. And then I want to actually go across to Anand Madhav. Anand Madhav, while the Prime Minister said that I don't want to criticize anyone, but had we done this earlier in terms of reducing our imports, then perhaps middle class won't be burdened. So there also the blame lies on you. And today, if I had to ask you, some of the states with the highest tax are also Congress governed states. So isn't it hypocritical of your party to then question the BJP?
And you need to understand that GST is not given by the central government to the state government. And there is a state fund in most of the states. We all know it very well. And when this money, which is due with the central government, is not given to the state governments, from how they are going to meet all these expenses. And second thing, just the Congress government has not done anything regarding this. This is just a simple excuse of the Prime Minister. At the same time, shrugging the responsibilities of the current. We all know what is happening in the current. Is last 48 days, 20 times the prices of diesel and petrol has been increased in last 48 days. At the same time, government must answer this question to where the 20 lakh crore rupees has gone, which has been earned by this excise duty. We all know the excise, what is the percentage which has been increased to 43%, to 58% on petrol and 20% on the diesel. It has been increased many times after this during this NDA government. And you see the petrol price in the neighboring country, Bhutan, 49.56, Pakistan, where we say the economy has failed. Everyone is saying regarding the Pakistan government, 51.14. You talk about the Sri Lanka, that is 60.98. You talk about the Nepal, in the smallest small country, 68.98. You talk about the Bangladesh, even the Bangladesh has 70 rupees 41 paise. And what about the India? So what you are doing, you are just going far away from the responsibility. This is the, you can say this Modi tax and the petrol loot, which is happening in the current date. There is a, it has completely failed. And you will be also surprised that in many of the machines which are failing to feed this 3-digit, because there is no facility of 3-digit in many of the machines at the petrol pump. It needs to be again high-tech, and it needs to be again improved version machine should be installed. So just shrugging the responsibility on the other soldier is not going to solve. You are in the government since last 6 years and 9 months. You need to understand how to make the alternate things, how to, you should look into the alternate sources if there is any. You look into the tax structure, how to restructure. You also need to correct the distribution system. So you are now almost completing the 7 years. Just giving responsibility on the UPA government and you will go away there. This is not possible in this current. And even the LPG, we are buying the LPG at the rate of rupees 820. per cylinder. So even that is also increasing. So we have discussed last time regarding this burden on the middle class, which is increasing every day, and the taxpayers. Yes, Tanvi.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to on another aspect in just a bit, but I want to tell our viewers, by the way, that the states themselves have a large chunk of tax that gets imposed on fuel, then they add cess and other, other development fees.
Rajasthan, can I come in?
Yes, I'm coming to you, Reena. Next, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and Kerala are some of the big states that have a very high percentage of tax. Then there is Telangana, an obscenely high amount of tax. Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and even Delhi above 30%, Reena Gupta. So every time a state like Assam or Meghalaya announces a cut in their own state tax, people ask, what about Delhi? I've heard a lot of Delhi citizens ask that question.
Yeah, Tanvi, allow me just a couple of minutes to answer everything that was covered in the program. See, the problem with BJP government is that they just keep shifting the goalpost, and they find something in the past to be blamed. They'll blame Nehruji for everything, and now they're saying that the reason the prices of petrol and diesel are so high because the UPA government didn't do anything. They've been in power for 6 years now. What have they done? To just give you a couple of figures, in January 20. The crude oil price per barrel was 64 rupees to $1. Okay. And in April 20, it fell down to 19. No, sir, I'll talk of everything. Can I please complete? I did not interrupt you when you were talking. So the crude oil fell from 64 to 19. There was a 70% reduction. Where did all those savings go? I mean, the government itself, they acknowledged that there were savings of at least 25,000 crores. So this saving, why did we not see these savings being used for giving us some relief in this COVID time? In the budget, I did not see any relief either for the poor or for the middle class, whereas the prices of petrol, diesel, LPG have all been going up. So, I mean, how can we go and blame the government in the past when in the past 6 years, what is this government to show for? It is a totally heartless government that is, not working for the benefit of whether it's the middle class, whether it's the poor people. Everybody is in such bad condition in these COVID times. Even capitalist economies like America are giving relief to their citizens. But I'm yet to see any relief in this in these pandemic COVID times that the current government has given us. So, I mean, for how long will they keep blaming Nehru and everybody else for their own mismanagement? I really want to ask that question, which actually Mr. Pradhan himself acknowledged, that they saved at least 25,000 crores because of low crude prices. Where has that money gone? I mean, is that money being used to fuel all the election campaigns of the BJP, or where is that money gone? That's a very pertinent question that anybody would ask.
Yes, but the point is, as you asked the BJP, what about the responsibility of the states? Your own, Delhi itself has above 30% of value-added tax on fuel.
Tanvi, if you look at the taxation structure in Delhi, 31 rupees out of every liter of petrol goes to the central government, and 11 rupees comes to the state government. So, I mean, most of it is central government. There's very little that Delhi government is doing, is taking in terms of taxes.
Yes, but Reena Gupta, if your party feels so much for the common man, then in these times, don't you think you should be doing your bit? Now, you and a government like the Aam Aadmi Party government, I'm sure, can surely find more innovative ways of raising funds than this.
Yes, Tanvi, so actually the Delhi government is always in a very tricky situation because we don't get our due share from the center. And we are the only government who has continued to give all the subsidies and the reliefs, even in the pandemic time, where our own collection has gone down drastically. We have not cut down on the free electricity, free power, free water, free travel for women in buses. So, I mean, we are the only government in the whole country where the electricity prices have not gone up in the last 6 years. How did we manage that? Because we managed our DISCOMs very well. Why? I mean, most of the country, in most of the states, is the BJP government. Why are the state DISCOMs in such bad state? That, there is so much corruption in the state DISCOMs that the electricity prices in Noida and Gurgaon are so much higher than Delhi. So, I mean, when there is a political will to do things, you can actually accomplish a lot. But I'm very sorry to say that as far as BJP is concerned, it's one slogan after the other.
Okay.
Whereas in real terms, you don't see anything.
Well, I want to go back to our experts as well on a solution to this problem. But Gopal Agarwal, in case you want to respond to Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party.
See, they have given political statement, but I'll abstain from this because it will not help. I can say so many things about our party and other things, about their subsidy. I'm a chartered accountant. I know what regulatory assets they are creating in Delhi and putting the liability on the future generations, and neither paying the companies and neither allowing them to
Sir,
book
please,
those.
the CAG,
So the second
CAG
point,
has given.
let me complete. I did not tell you. Second thing I want to mention here is about the UPA. They created similar kind of fraud on the people by creating oil bonds, giving to the companies, and they did not even incorporate those expenses of 1,25,000 crores in the balance sheet, in the budget. And it is only the AAP which can spend the public money collected from taxes. She is saying that we are spending in our election. It is AAP government. We do not do like that. On the other point I would like to mention here is what happens in our federal structure, Tanvi, is that major collection comes to the center and it goes to the states. More than 42% is from the center collection goes directly to the states under the Finance Commission. Secondly, a lot of direct schemes are from the center, which are being distributed by the states. So major fund has to be spent by the center. And over the period, center resources have come down. Still in this budget, we have not increased direct taxes. We have not increased indirect taxes, even after the COVID crisis, nor gone for any bond issue, COVID bond. And in this COVID, after when the resources have come down, states have got in GST, full amount has gone. Only the additional 14% additional promise that was said every year, even the center gets low taxes, still states will get the additional 14%.
30 seconds to respond.
So, no, let me finish. I'll then keep quiet. The important is people should understand. Only that is also when is not still some amount is pending. Even center has said, you borrow, we will completely guarantee that amount and ultimately pay to the states. So no GST amount is pending.
Yeah, but essentially you are just telling them you go borrow. Essentially you gave them a similar scheme like you did to a lot of citizens as well. You go borrow from the market. Reena Gupta.
Center is also borrowing and we are going to guarantee that a refund. They will get their fund in the time period. We are just buying some time to repay that. They are not going to bear this cost.
Yes.
We are going to...
Okay, Reena Gupta, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds, two quick points, Tanvi. As far as Delhi is concerned, CAG said Delhi is one of the best managed state as far as state finances are concerned. So I'm sorry, nobody has the right to cast any aspersions on how we are managing our financing. And secondly, Delhi does not get its due share from the central pool of taxes. Our share has been fixed at 300 crores since 20 years, and we have been asking for more money. So we don't get our share of taxes from the central government. So, whatever the BJP person was saying, he should get his facts correct first.
Okay. Now let me go across to Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, you spoke about the complicated tax structure that must be fixed. Would a solution be simply to bring in fuel under GST? Is that the way to go forward?
Yes, that would be, in fact,
Mr. Madhav, I'll come back to you. Let me just get Mr. Pandey to respond. Yeah.
That, in fact, is very, very desirable. But it was discussed when the GST framework was being discussed and many states did not agree. Happily, today I heard a statement from Honorable Prime Minister that gas is likely to be brought under GST. I hope the petrol and diesel also follow suit. But before we do that, today there is certainly a need for protecting the consumers from the high prices that they are paying for petrol, diesel and domestic gas. And that can be done only by reducing excise duty by the center and also VAT by various states. There is no other way. In fact, we never envisaged that petrol and diesel would cost 100 rupees a litre. And the government will just not do anything. Government has deregulated. Yes, there was a merit in deregulating. Government has to depend on the international prices of crude. There is no escape from that. But then there has to be a concept of maximum retail price. The way we are talking about minimum support price for producers of agricultural products, similarly, there is a need to put a ceiling on the maximum retail price of these very, very essential commodities. Now, petrol, who uses petrol? 99% of petrol in India is used for transportation. And about 70% of that is by the two-wheelers users. Now, two-wheeler users are who? The students, the young people who go commute to the offices, the common man. They just can't bear the burden, and so excise duty must be revised, and there should be an automatic provision that once you exceed that, the excise duty will be deemed to have been reduced by this much. There should be a dialogue with the states, and the taxation structure must be moderated immediately. That will be really required. As far as the production augmentation is concerned, yes, Mr. Sharma made some good points. All these are worth considering. Governments in the past also have been doing their little bit. But today I find one matter of concern, and that is the ONGC, which is the most premier company in the government system, responsible for production of oil. Now they should be strengthened. If their reserves are being utilized for acquiring companies like HPCL, where do they get the resources to invest? And exploration is an investment-intensive industry, and the companies must be strengthened so that they have enough reserves to invest, to explore, and to bring oil security in the country. There are many other things, but I think I'll stop at that.
Well, thank you so much for those insights that you've given. One other aspect, Mr. R.S. Sharma, maybe you can come in on that. Is this, again, to understand the structure of it, often we are told that since the prices have been deregulated, it's a deregulated market, it's up to the companies when their crude oil price goes up, they end up increasing the price. Then how is it that in the run-up to elections, the prices never go up? In fact, they often come down, and if there is no election, then there is a long gap. I don't understand this.
Tanvi, you are asking me a political question. But anyway, I'll try to articulate that does not offend anybody. We know very well the companies, those who set the prices, Indian Oil, SPC, BPC, they are owned by the government. Ownership lies with the government. Though the prices have been deregulated, this used to happen earlier also, now also, because the directives, not instructions, directives do come from the political bosses in the earlier regime also, now also, how these companies owned by the government, so ruling government's agenda, how that can be carried out. I think I have said enough. You can.
Yes, okay. You're absolutely right. In fact, it's also, I wanted to add to that by saying that states complain that they're not getting the money from the center and they have no other option but to have these high taxes. But the same states will find ways of cutting the taxes when they have to. The state of Assam, just this month, amidst these 10-15 days of hike that we've seen, the Assam government has gone ahead and cut it by 5 rupees. Now, obviously, they understand that they're going into elections. They see merit in it. I don't know what will happen in West Bengal if Mamata Banerjee sees the same merit, but this is what is happening all around. Enough for people to understand there are political connections here as well. I have a question for Mr. Anand Madhav. Mr. Anand Madhav, while you are and your party is centrally questioning the government on the fuel prices, what is going on in Maharashtra? In Maharashtra, your leaders are instead targeting the celebrities and threatening the celebrities that we won't let you shoot your films if you don't speak up against the government like you did against Manmohan government. Shouldn't the focus be on how to reduce Aam Aadmi's burden rather than going after Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar?
Nana Patel has not said anything like that. Nana Patel categorically said that they will oppose it. They will not disturb any of the suit of them. He has just mentioned it that when the price has gone up during the UPA government, they have raised their voice. They come and they tweeted and they have a lot. There is the voice. But No, he has not
He
said
has
it. Has it. You
categorically
can please,
said,
you please
don't
go.
tell lie.
No, please. I'm not telling lie. Please mind your language, Mr. Agrawal. You need to understand that
So you are
go
saying,
to the.
he said, I will not allow
Please
any
listen to me.
be done.
Please listen to. No, he has not said. He said we will oppose.
Anand
We will
Madhav,
not
I don't know
oppose
who
the
informed
shootings.
you. Patole says, Nana Patole says that you speak
You
up,
can play
otherwise
Tanvir,
we
this
will
is
not
Nana
allow you to
Patole
shoot
said
in
why they
Maharashtra.
No, Nana Patole said why you are not coming forward and opposing the current thing.
And
Why
if
are-
you don't, this
we
is
have
what
shut
we
the-
will do.
What you have shut.
Not
why you
only
have
that,
shut
Mr.
your mouth?
Jitendra Awad has come out and even backed this. So it's not just the Congress Maharashtra chief. We also have a Maharashtra minister who is saying this now. I mean,
No,
I'm
I'm
just
talking
asking
about
what the
Nana Patole.
priorities
Clearly,
are.
sir.
Why does it matter whether Amitabh Bachchan or Akshay Kumar have to tweet about it? How will that change my life?
That, of
And
course,
even
they
if
will. It
they
will not
can
change.
ask, but you cannot
when they have come,
pressurize
they are the superstars. They are the superstars when they have come and protested during this UPA government. Why can't they protest now? Or they are favoring a single person
So
or single party, or they are
can you
favoring the people?
pressurize anybody for protest?
Please, let me
So you
say
are
you.
again
And
the
you have
same
talked
thing you
about
did in the
you have
farm
talked about the other
education.
levy. You are not giving the money to the states. You have just imposed one Gabbar Singh tax. You have demonetized, and everything has a fiasco. We all know it very well. So whatever you are doing, you have done in this last 6 and 9 months, it is a failure,
Because
a
of
complete failure.
GST,
It
the
is
common
complete
man
failure.
is at a
Just you
benefit.
all people know you are
The
just going to
indirect
make a
tax
bunch
have been reduced from
so,
25% to
please
almost
let
18%.
me finish there. Let me finish there.
So
When
you
during the
cannot say
UPA,
Can I
all
come in, please?
UPA
wrong
during the UPA government, the
Tanvi,
price
can I
has
come
gone for
in,
the
please,
crude
for
oil
30 seconds?
$147. $147 during this UPA government. Even then, the price has not gone up.
That
And
is
right
true.
now, the price is 60.
UPA government chose to
$147.
roll over the
$147.
pending payments
And it's
and
60.
increase the government's pending payments to the oil companies and the
Tanvi, can I
subsidies.
come in?
But at least they didn't
And
let the
they are
Aam Aadmi
telling-
have to pay for it. This government has decided a completely different way to go about it. They want to clear off their debt at the cost of the Aam Aadmi and make the common man pay
Oh,
more
so
and
what
more and
Congress
more.
did
More
and
cess,
then-
more development tax,
That's
more
the
fuel
same,
price
Tanvi.
tax. That's the solution
At
while
the
you
same-
clean up your books and reduce your debt. Completely out of time. I have to thank all of the panelists. It was a pleasure to have both Mr. Pandey and Mr. Sharma on this conversation. Thank you to the political representatives as well. Viewers, what Prime Minister Modi has done has put forward an idea that has been around and has been this government's own focus. This is not the first time that even PM Modi spoke about reducing our dependency on oil imports. And this is a very, very valid argument to make about reducing our dependency on oil imports. But that means you have to find the alternates here. Now, while the government has announced a few policies, on ground, not much seems to have changed. On ground, we are still struggling to boost our oil production in the proportion that is required to meet our energy needs. On ground, we are still struggling to boost the alternative energy options, or even when it comes to ethanol processing, the way we want to. If the vision is that India should be self-sufficient for its 50% of its needs by 2050, as it's called, then we need to do a lot more and we need to step up. And yes, perhaps the previous government should have done a lot more. But now this government has been in power since 2014 and it is up to them. And while these will be the long-term solutions, this does not benefit us today. And the governments have to figure a way out. Every week, every single day, increase in fuel price. Every week, 2 weeks, a relook at the LPG prices. Where will this stop? Are there no other ways to shore up revenues but to tax the honest taxpayer? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining us.